I'm not trying to badmouth you guys
Not at all.
because we appreciate that you created these contests and
Mhm.
everything. My whole idea is that to give us as artists a voice. Same thing goes with, you know, American Idol and everything like that. People can actually buy votes.
As artists for a reason. We're more than just our face and our image and stuff. We are the music part of it.
Yes.
That is supposed to be the focus, so we should make it the focus. Like Rolling Stone or any other magazine or company that would want to do a contest such as this would be able to use this as a marketing tool.
SouLivate.
When I first got into the whole America's Next Top Hitmaker, and then when we were done with the contest, I thought to myself, because I have these podcasts, that we have to do a series, a Rolling Stone America's Next Top Hitmaker, a series. You are our first guest. We're gonna have artists that took part in the competition, and we're also gonna have creators of the competition that will be on the podcast. So that's super exciting. So take me back, like, because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this series on the Rolling Stone is because I think that us as artists, we have to be vocal about our experience as far as this competition. So how did you find out about the competition? How did you enter? And what did you feel when you initially got the message that you've been accepted?
Yeah, so I got into it because I was on Instagram one day, and I got the ad saying like, hey, you know, Rolling Stone, America's Next Top Hitmaker contest, blah blah blah, win money, your prizes, blah blah blah. And I saw that, and I'm very skeptical of contests and stuff like that. I don't tend to believe that they're really all that useful, to be honest, but that's just some of my skepticism that I just kind of inherently have about something. But so I saw it, and I went on the website, and I was reading about it, and it's like, okay, this sounds kind of cool. And I went on Google and was like, okay, is this a legitimate contest? And they're like, yeah, it's good. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I decided on a whim to just kind of enter it. I thought there's like nothing to lose here. There's none of my money involved. Nothing that I can, you know, if I'm in, I'm in. If I'm not, whatever. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. You know, it's an opportunity. That's how I look at a lot of things. Like I every now and then I audition for American Idol or The Voice or America's Got Talent or something like that. And whenever I don't make it in, I'm like, okay, well, that was, you know, 5 minutes of my life that I was able to show someone else that I can, you know, more or less I can sing and that I have interest. And if something were to come of it, that'd be great. But I'm not, you know, ever heartbroken if it doesn't work out. So that was kind of the energy that I was going into it with, where I was like, you know, this could be something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the acceptance. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What does that mean? Mm-hmm. Then when it actually started, I was like, okay, you know, should I post about this? What do I do for this? And I asked my mom once again, because I've mentioned her marketing mind. I asked her, I was like, hey, what should I do with this? And she's like, post about it. And I said, okay. So I had people, you know, start asking me questions, and I had a bunch of my friends start saying, oh, I'm voting for you. I've put votes towards you, blah, 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 just on and on and on. And I was really surprised by the extent of what I was seeing from my fan base, because I have friends and stuff. A lot of my my fans, I still consider my friends, you
Right.
know, because at this level, most of my people who support me are people I know personally.
Hmm.
But some of I kind of realized through this, I was like, wait a minute, they we're friends because they support me.
Wow.
Like not on my end, but they're like, oh, this is a musician. Like I'm friends with this musician, and I was like, oh wait,
And she's good.
I was
And
like,
she
oh wait,
plays some
okay,
good
cool.
music.
So that's I that was kind of just the big thing for me was just realizing the support that I had behind me. So I started really getting involved. I was posting. It was draining actually. I was posting every single day and just like, don't forget to vote, don't forget to vote, don't forget to vote. Oh, we've moved on. Like keep going, keep sharing, keep that blah 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 blah. It just would not end. It just kept going for months. But I had so many people there who were supporting me and they're like, come on guys, let's make sure we're voting, get her ahead. Let's come on, let's do it. And I was shocked really
Yeah.
by the support I was getting. I it really kind of even though I still going into it, I was like, I'm probably not going to win this. I was like, just statistically, I was like, this is very unlikely.
Hmm.
But I was like blown away
Yeah.
by the support, really. So that was the main thing that really has stuck with me from doing it.
That was a big thing for me, because me artistically, like initially made noise in the early 2000s because I was the first. I'm from originally from Ukraine, so I was the
Mhm.
first like Ukrainian American hip hop artist to do, music in like different languages. So initially I made noise in the early 2000s, but then, life kind of ventured into different things. So I was doing music on the side, and then I started to get back into my music a few years ago. And then when this contest happened, I was thinking the same as you. Like, well, I know sort of the people that support me and things like that. But I was blown away because I was all of a sudden people were getting in touch with me from all around the world, man, from like Spain and England and writing me and like, yes, go, this and that. And I was same as you. I had the same experience. I was blown away. I was so till this day I'm so grateful, for and I think for all the support, and I think it's so cool that you mentioned that. So for those people that don't realize, this was a long competition in totality. It was like 2 months. You made it, and congratulations on this. You made it, I would say, almost to the semifinals.
Yeah.
And I kept, so me and you were kind of going the same, we were in different groups, but we were
Mhm.
kind of going the same rate. You finished third, I
Mhm.
believe, in your group, and I
Yeah.
finished, second. Like we so I was all because when the competition started, I don't know how, your article or something popped up, and since the beginning, yes, since the beginning I was following you. And I think they made it so tricky where we didn't know how many other groups were out there.
Oh yeah.
We didn't know who else is in it. Um, how was your experience? Because you kind of touched on it a little bit that it was draining. How was your experience for that month? Like, was it stressful? And the big question for me is, and this is, I found out that a lot of artists have criticized this, that we were able to buy votes. How did you feel about that? And what was your process like for that month?
Yeah, so once it really started going, yeah, so it was about a month long where it was really intense. And I was getting kind of stressed about it. Not necessarily because I was like, oh yeah, I want to win. Once I got to the quarterfinals, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to win now. But
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
before that point, I thought we started out with because it was very unclear, like how many people are in
Yes.
the contest.
Yes.
So when we had I think it narrowed it down first to like 25
Yep.
in each group. I didn't realize there were multiple groups. I thought there
Man,
were 25 people.
no, no, man. That's what I thought. And I think that was the tricky thing, that
Yeah,
the way they laid out the competition is we didn't
yeah.
know.
There was a bit of a lack of transparency to a certain extent, and I didn't. Let's see. I will say, because I had people asking me, they're like, "How many people are in how many groups? What's going on?" I was like, "I don't
Right.
know. I
Mhm.
really don't." And one day, like, I got to a point where I was really kind of stressing about it, and I was like, let me go sneak on around on the website. Let me see what if I can find who else is in this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went and I found out how to see the other groups. And I was counting, and it was like over 100 groups.
Yes.
I got lost in my counting.
Yes.
And I can do basic counting. I got lost, and and that was how many groups, not even how many participants.
Yes.
And it was huge. I was like, we've narrowed down from this, significantly. So I'm like, how many people did we start with? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I got to a point where I thought, okay, it's like, okay, well, there's all these different groups. I was like, before I counted how many groups there were, I was like, well, they're doing a showcase. So showcase kind of sounds like there might be multiple acts. So maybe there's like four groups,
Mhm.
and like there'll be four different acts and four
Uh-huh.
winners or something. I like that was I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get to a point where I'm like looking, I'm just scrolling through the groups and
Yeah.
scrolling and scroll, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I was like, how many people are in this? I never actually found out. Even now, I don't know the full breadth of it, but um, part of what stressed me out about it, besides just I have a pretty um laid out posting plan, like in terms of my social media. I post I post photos on Mondays and Fridays. I post videos on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then as I am tempted to, I post on my story memes and stuff. So that's kind of been my schedule for a couple of years now. So switching from that to daily, and I was still posting the other stuff.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden, my amount of content skyrocketed, and that was kind of stressful just in that. But then the thing that really kinda got to me was I was telling my boyfriend because I was, like, freaking out, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, "I there's other people's money involved in this."
Yes.
And I knew people who were putting in because you could see how it's like, how, "Oh, so and so donated 50 votes," and I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him like, there other people are spending their hard-earned money
Yes.
on these votes for this thing, and I just was kind of freak out because I was like, "If I lose, then all these people spent this money for no reason."
You're gonna feel bad, right?
Yeah, I was like, "I'm gonna feel really bad." And the only thing that makes me feel kinda okay regarding that still is that it was donated, if we believe what they say, which I'm
Right.
always kinda hesitant with
Right.
corporations.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
it is that since they say, "Okay, we donated it to Music Cares," I'm like, "Okay, that's a good foundation." As far as I'm aware, that's like a pretty legit
Mhm.
foundation, so I was like, "Okay, that makes me feel kinda better," but I still feel kinda like shit. I was like, I feel bad, for people spending this, especially since I didn't win, but I also never told people. I very specifically, I was like, "I'm never going to tell people to spend money on me." All of my stuff, if you wanna stream my stuff, if you wanna listen to it on YouTube, if you wanna come hear me play live, all of it's free, at least at this point in my career. Because 'cause I'm like, you're taking a risk. I'm a small, young, independent artist. I'm a risk to take, you know? So if you're putting your money towards me, you're kinda like gambling in a certain extent, you know? I think it's worth it if you're buying my CDs,
Listen, it's worth it.
but
Trust me, it's a good investment. People spend money on like ridiculous things, and
Oh,
to
yeah.
and that. So okay, before I say my next part, and I'm pretty sure Haley backs me up on this. Listen, shout out to Rolling Stone.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Music Cares. um we're not a bad, when I say something, I'm not trying to badmouth you guys,
Not at all.
because we appreciate that you created these contests and
Mhm.
everything. My whole idea is that to give us as artists a voice, so maybe we can make the competition either better or fix things for next year to come, because again, the biggest criticism that I'm getting from everyone is artists felt like their artistic integrity was put to the test
Yeah.
when you could just go and buy a vote. And I just want to say this real quick. When you mentioned like America's Next, not American Idol, and all these different contests, I'm pretty sure now, after being a contestant in America's Next Top Hitmaker, I'm pretty sure you realize that there's a lot of politics that go into
Yeah.
this. It's a lot. What I've realized in this contest is that it's much bigger than just music,
Mhm.
and that also, shows us why for sometimes we don't an incredible artist won't win a Grammy for X amount of years. Well, this explains it why. And the same thing goes with, American Idol and everything like that. People can actually buy votes.
Mhm.
So this is my next question. How do you think maybe they can, Music Cares and Rolling Stone, maybe they can fix this? We're gonna have Joseph Wooten on the podcast because he was one of the creators and one of the, people that were kind of in the judging thing. Sorry. So how would you fix this whole buying votes thing? Because I think it's super dangerous, because you can have a truly incredible artist, America's Next Top Hitmaker, a Hailey Ezzell, that's a multi-instrumentalist that writes her own songs. And on the other side, you can have a kid that just started, but they don't even have a single, but their parents have money
Mhm.
to invest and have them win. Like, what do you think? Like, us as artists, how do we get through to a Music Cares and maybe Rolling Stone, and maybe how can we fix these contests that way?
Yeah. So, firstly, I'll piggyback off of what you said and say, yeah, to Rolling Stone and to Music Cares, like, thank you for
Yeah.
the opportunity. I mean, the fact that they put on a contest where it was open to anyone who wanted to enter, pretty much.
Right.
And that's not something that you really see. And the fact that you didn't have to pay to enter was also nice, because I've seen ones where you have to pay
Yes.
to enter, and I don't believe in that necessarily.
Yes.
But so I was, any of the criticism I have for the contest isn't towards Rolling Stone. I'm very grateful to them for the experience and for
Right.
everything.
Yeah,
But
we're not bad mouthing you
yeah,
guys. We're grateful, man.
yeah. So, but just in terms of honest criticism, I would remove the if you'll refer to it as the pay to play
Yes.
feature, I would remove it entirely, because
Yeah.
then the only thing you have is votes. How dedicated is your, fan group?
Or
What
have judges. I'm sorry for
just
interrupting you.
yeah.
Or have judges.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, so what I would do if I were to try to do something like this, I would firstly, I believe, full transparency. How many people are in the contest? The
Thank
the easiest question to answer should be how many people are in the contest. That should
before
be the big question.
before you go on
Yeah.
making this super important point, I just want to throw this in there. I don't know if you're aware of it, but
Mhm.
there were 16 finalists. Just
Wow.
so you, just so you understand, it wasn't top 2 or top 3. There was 16 finalists.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that information.
So go on about the
That's
transparency. You were
crazy.
making a great point.
But yeah, so I'm finding this out now, and the contest has been over for a couple weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
So transparency, I think, is the absolute number one thing. Second thing is I would limit how many people could be in it. The
Yeah.
fact that there were, however, thousand or whatever people there were, that's a huge contest.
Yeah.
And you end up, maybe for that first round, there can be, anyone who wants to enter, but
Mhm.
then they end up making more work for themselves, because what my next point is that it should be something that's not entirely outlandish for people to be able to listen to, maybe even 30 seconds, 15,
Yeah.
30 seconds of each artist.
Yeah.
Don't, like, pick which this would be difficult for the artist, but pick the 15 seconds that best represent what you're trying to do.
That makes
And
sense. That
someone
makes
can click through all those different samples and go, okay, for this batch, this person's the best. For this batch, this person's the best, and vote that way so that you don't lose that focus on, firstly, the art that's being created, because at the end of the day, they call us artists for a reason. We're more than just our face and our image and stuff. We are the music part of it. That
yes.
is supposed to be the focus, so
Yeah.
we should make it the focus.
No.
And it also keeps people just not well, the kind of the other end of it is you don't get tangled up in, oh, well, this person's from my hometown, I'm gonna support them, which is a fine way to do it. But if you want to be as impartial and just focusing on the music, it makes more sense to kind of, you know, bring the focus to the music. I'm kind of repeating myself there, but I feel like if there was some way to do that, that would be just the easiest way to do it. And if Rolling Stone had to do it where they're like, okay, actually no, I'm going to rescind that sentence. I was going to start a line of thinking that I didn't actually believe with. What I'll say is that I feel like Rolling Stone or any other magazine or company that would want to do a contest such as this would be able to use this as a marketing tool.
Mm-hmm.
I've never talked as much about Rolling Stone magazine in my life
Yeah.
as I've talked about
Exactly.
it since this contest, and I've never been more invested in it. I mean, obviously, as a musician, I have at least a passing interest in it, right? And it's just like one of the biggest music magazines in America, in
Exactly.
the
In the world.
world.
In the world. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, of course, I have a passing level of thing, but even a smaller not artist, a smaller magazine or blog or online presence or whatever, that's a bunch of free advertising.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
all free advertising.
Exactly.
And the way that our minds work, where we see a brand or a logo, and the more we see it, the more trustworthy we find it,
Yes.
and the more likely we're to buy it.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing they should be looking for.
That's a good point, man.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So I really appreciate you saying everything that you said. So on this podcast, I believe in, complete transparency. So when I personally entered the contest, it was for artistic purposes. But then when I found out that you can buy votes, it became a marketing scheme to me, like
Yeah.
where I was thinking that, if I invest this and this much money, once I win, it will be a good marketing, because there's a crazy story behind me. It's Rolling Stone. Like, I come from Ukraine. I'm recording this album about war. Like, I had all of these different, it'll be a good marketing thing, because
Yeah.
once I realized that I can buy these votes. So again, shout out to Rolling Stone, shout out to Music Cares. The only reason why I'm putting together this series is to say, look, if you guys don't listen to our wishes, guess what? Me and Hailey can get together next year and get other artists and do our own contest.
Yeah.
Like,
SouLivate.
we'll do our own thing. So either you guys listen to us, or we're going to do our own thing. Basically, it's a fair warning. And the reason why I'm mentioning, because the winning prize was $10,000 cash. And again, I'm being fully transparent. I myself, my wife and I, we spent about $5,000,
Wow.
buying these votes, and we made it to almost to the semifinals. So I'm thinking that if I would have gotten to the semifinals and to the finals and everything, I would have ended up spending the $10,000. You understand what I'm saying? So again, Rolling Stone, this is one of my biggest criticism is, if you truly call yourself Music Cares, and we all back up, addiction and people going through that struggle, recovery and all of that, more power to you. But what I would do as someone that, put together this contest is keep fifth. Like, let's say you didn't make it to the semifinals, right? Keep the 50% of that money that the artist raised for, addiction and music cares rehabs. Give the other 50 back to that upcoming artist, man.
Yeah.
Because people don't people please, like, being an independent artist is super hard.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that we just wake up one day like, oh, let me go and no, like, there, there's energy to it,
Mhm.
and we spend money, man. Like, let's be realistic. In order to record a good single, a good album, we're spending money. So if you are truly music cares and you care about the artist, please care more about the independent artist. Care more about Hailey Ezzell. She's the voice of today and tomorrow. Like, give her that chance. Like I said, keep 50% and give the other 50% back to Hailey so she can, you know, elevate her music and progress and do all these different things. What do you think about that? Am I being too much?
I hadn't really thought about it, but also, I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense. I'm not sure, 50-50 or, 60-40 or whatever, because I mean, charitable funds are charitable funds, but at the same time, you think when the people were voting for you and they're putting their money towards you, they're putting it towards you, they my friends who were buying votes for me weren't thinking, oh, this is going to charity, which I mean,
Yes,
it says that on the website, but their perception in their head is I'm helping Haley. I'm buying votes for
investing.
Haley. So
Exactly.
when it would make a lot of sense if we did get a portion back, especially since that money comes from our fans.
Exactly.
You know, it wouldn't result in, as I'm sure there was some sort of cut because it didn't. I didn't see anywhere where it's like, oh, 100% goes to Music Cares. So
No, no,
I'm sure Rolling Stone,
no.
being a business, I'm sure they got a
Yeah,
cut for
of
collaborating
course,
with them, which
of
makes
course.
sense. But
Listen, I don't know.
they kept 10% if
Yeah,
and then they gave you know 40-50% to Music Cares, and then the other part went to the artist. That would, I mean, however the math wants to work out on that, that would be. I think that'd be more than fair.
my whole thing is support independent artists, and
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen the numbers because they sent all of us these emails that they raised 2.1 million
Yeah.
throughout this process. So I'm like, bro, like you said, give 10%, whatever. Rolling Stone, like, you get your cut. You have 1 million to recovery and your cause. Give that 1 million back to these independent artists. It's
Yeah.
hard out here, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's not easy. So that's my biggest criticism. And I kind of, went down the rabbit hole of online looking for other artists, throughout this process, and kind of trying to see their biggest criticism. And one artist brought up a good point. He said kind of the same thing that you said, that if someone is donating towards the artist, then the fair competition would be for that artist to walk away with the money that someone invested towards them. So I don't know if you agree with that.
I definitely at least partially agree with that. I definitely, if people are putting money towards you, it kind of makes sense for that money to go to you.
Mhm.
But they were transparent that it was all, being donated to stuff. So I'm fine with that, at least in terms of the transparency. But if we want to make this, optimize it into being the most fair, the most, beneficial for all parties involved,
Yes. Yes.
you know. And people would probably spend more money if they knew that was going directly to the artist as well.
Exactly. You brought up amazing points, and as far as like marketing itself for Rolling Stone, you brought up an
Mhm.
excellent point. Like, and again, Rolling Stone, Music Cares, we love you, but fair warning, me and Haley will do our own thing next year if you don't listen to our criticism. Um, we're gonna wrap up. I kind of kept you here for longer than an
We're
hour.
good. We're good. We're good.
It's been so interesting. Would you enter such a contest again? Would you enter the same exact contest next year? Because I'm pretty sure in the email they told you, like, look, come back next year. Like, we'll love to have you back.
I'll If it's the same exact contest, I'll probably consider it. I don't know if I'll, you know, run myself as hard to do it, you know. But at the same time, I hope that they take this year to kind of reflect on the criticism. I think it's great that you're talking to so many of the contestants and the people who worked
Yeah.
on, you know, with the contest to, you know, hopefully we'll be able to bring to light some of the issues or perceived issues, at least I'll call them, with the contest. Because if this could come back, and if they took even one or two of the points that we brought up, and I'm sure if, you know, talking to all the other artists, you're going to get a billion other ideas. If they
Mm.
took one or two of these ideas and implemented them, I would be ecstatic. I'd be like, oh, okay, great. We're not paying for this. You know, there's no one's putting money into it, and it's just on votes alone. Great.
Mhm.
Okay, you know, we're still voting, but part of that goes towards the artist. Great. You know, oh, we're using a smaller group of people. Great. If even one of those ideas was implemented, or one of the, you know, as I keep saying, a billion ideas, I'm sure crowd thinkingly will come up with, I would be very interested in coming back and doing it again. But as it stands right now, and it could just be the freshness of having wrapped up with it. I'm a little hesitant, but,
Right.
you know, a year may pass and I may forget, so who knows?
Listen to all you people out there that are gonna think like, "Oh, listen to this ungrateful a-hole." Like look, like people, please understand it from our perspective.
Mhm,
Our art is our baby, and us as artists, call it ego, call it whatever you want, but we do have artistic integrity.
mhm,
Whereas we are putting this art out into the world, we want you to appreciate it and enjoy it the way we enjoy making it. And sometimes when you put a label or if you put a material price on it, it kind of bugs us, man. Like, it kind of, it sets off like alarms and and bells in us, man, artistically. So that's all I'm saying. Please don't take it as I'm being like this ungrateful a-hole, man. I'm not saying that at all. It's just that art is our baby, and it would be more cool if you guys put together judges and we're actually
mhm.
judged on our art, not how much someone can spend. Haley, I have a couple more questions for you. If you don't mind, I just want to say again, thank you so much for doing this. Make sure to send me and email me all the links that you want me
Will
to
do.
yeah, to plug in. I'm gonna champion you. You are the voice of today and tomorrow, I think. And now I found out that you're, besides being an amazing artist, you're an incredible human being. And I'm proud of, the next generation of artists such as yourself. Um, so my next couple questions are, what would your message be to the next upcoming artists after you in the music scene of today?
So, in terms of that, I can really only pass on the best advice that I've gotten, you know? Um, I did a Q&A once. I to with my, as I said, my favorite band, Styx. I did a during COVID. You
Mhm.
could pay to do like a virtual meet and greet, and you could ask them questions. It was awesome. It was really cool, and
Awesome.
all that those proceeds went to support their crew members who were out of work due to the pandemic. It's really just one of the cooler things I saw happen during the lockdown. But I asked them the same question. I was like, "What do you, as you know, celebrated musicians, what do
Right.
you suggest I do? Like, what's your advice to me?" And Tommy Shaw, who is actually that's what see if I can get that's what that tattoo is. He signed my arm. Um, One of the things he told me is just, you know, if you really, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, if you really want to do this, don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone get in your way. Not necessarily in like a malicious way, like take out your enemies, but like don't let anyone, you know, get you down. Don't let anyone stop you. Because if you really are an artist and you really are good, you know. And I'm not saying you have to be great, but if you have that initial spark, you know, do it. At least try it, because the only thing you have to lose is time, and that time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
So if you spend that time trying something, and if it doesn't work out, it's not that it didn't work out. It's that you were meant to do something else.
Yeah.
If in 30 years I'm not doing music anymore, which I don't see that as being likely, I'll at least still be running a karaoke show at bare minimum. But if music doesn't work out, it's because I was meant to be an author, or I was meant to do something else, and there's a reason for it, you know? So I feel like if you have that desire, all you can do is try. And
Mhm.
the other bit, which was also advice he gave me that I'm passing along, is when you write a song, it's not your job to determine if it's good or not.
Hmm.
It's the job of your audience. You make it as good as it can be,
Right.
but if you are not the final judge, on if this song is good. I've written some songs. Actually, I went to an open mic the other week, and I played one of my newer originals, and it's actually a song that I wrote to go with my book,
Mhm.
and it's referenced in the book, and it's kind of meta. And
Awesome.
I did it, and I thought, I was like, this song's kind of, it's okay, whatever. And I did it at the open mic, and I got a really good response from it that I was not expecting, like, not like as like a braggy thing, but I was genuinely like, oh, okay, cool. They liked it. And is just kind of more proof of, like, you are not the audience. You do not get to determine what's best. You have, your job is to make it as good as you can, and as earnest, and as heartfelt, and as real as you can, and then it's to a certain extent, your audience will tell you, yes, 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 this is good, or maybe try again. That's not to say that you can't make stuff for yourself, but if you think something sucks, you might be wrong.
I just wanted to thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to add just a little piece that
Sure.
it's a long, long journey,
Yeah.
but remember that, like Haley just mentioned, that enjoy the journey itself, man.
Mhm.
Don't think too much about the end, the end goal, but the journey itself. It's always an incredible journey, and it's always cool to look back on it, and you will have something to look back on it. But it is a long process when you go through, finding yourself stylistically and all of these different things. Trust me, it's a long process, but it's a beautiful process. You're growing as an artist, as an individual, and you're reflecting the world, man, through your eyes. A couple more questions, and I'll get you out of here. What's next for Hailey Ezzell? What are your plans? You have so much going on, but what's next for you? And if you could possibly give us like a foreshadow of the next, let's say, 5 years, what's
Okay.
going on?
So, immediate goals. I'm hoping to have the debut out by the end of the year. I have one more song I need to record, and then it's going to go into, mixing and final touches and promotion. So that's my goal, is by the end of the year, have that out. I'm contemplating in the next 5 years. I've had a couple people who've already finished reading my book say, "Are you going to write another one?"
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I have some ideas for almost like a compilation book of vignettes of scenes set in that same universe,
Hmm.
because I kind of like to dwell a little bit. I've created these guys, they existed for 130 pages. They still in my head kind of exist, and they talk to me.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to kind of get to play with them, if you will. So I'm contemplating making sort of a follow up to that.
Yeah.
My goal is really to have. I kind of want to build my own home studio over the next couple of years. We're going to see. That's kind of one of my personal goals. And then I want to really put. I'm s- I'm starting on it, but I really want to put together a backing band to support me. Um, just so that I can do, shows where it's just my music, for 2 hours or whatever it is, just so I can get it out in that manner as well. Because I mainly play piano and I sing. My songs are very guitar heavy, so when I go do my one man show, I'm like, this isn't really the best way to
Hmm.
get across my music all the time. So I think putting together a band would really be optimal. So that's kind of my short term goals, is to get those together, and of course, just more music. As I said, I wrote a song the other day. I've got just notebooks and notebooks of ideas, finished ideas, partial ideas, one word, just that I'm trying to constantly flesh
Awesome.
out into something. So just more music, and only up from here. That's the thought.
Awesome.
That's the
Awesome.
hope.
And endless progression. And trust
That's
me,
the
I got
goal.
I got an eye for these things. So I'm prophesizing right now. You're gonna be the next biggest thing in the world.
Thank
Um,
you.
so we have a traditional question on SouLivate. And it's a two-part question.
Okay.
What does music mean to you, and what does your music represent?
Man, that was sort of a flashback for me, because when I was in high school and I do they had a singing competition that actually I won it my junior year of high school. That was the question they asked everyone.
Oh yeah.
What does music mean to you? And I barely knew the answer then, and I barely know it now. It means everything. It's I don't even really think of it. Sometimes people will ask me like, "Hey, what are your hobbies outside of music?" And I'm like, "There's hobbies outside of music. There's things to do beyond listening and writing and playing and absorbing music." Apparently, that's what they tell me. But I don't know. I hate to sound so cliche when I say this. Music is a way of life. It is inherent to for me, it's kind of inherent to who I am. It is as much me as my eye color is.
Wow.
It's as much my personality as the fact that I like to read. It is very much just who I am.
Basically,
A lot of
there's no Haley without music. Basically.
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm sure at one point there used to be,
Hmm.
but I may have been in utero at that point. I'm not. I'm not. I'm, I don't feel like I'm exaggerating. That's the crazy thing. Is the music is everything to me.
Oh,
It
okay.
is it's what gets me to go to my day job in the morning. It's what gets me up early. It's what made me get up at 7:30 in the morning yesterday and not go to sleep until 2 a.m.
Wow.
That's what that's what music is to me. Which I know a lot of people who work 9 to 5, kind of like I do during the week. That's not that impressive, but for me, as
Nice.
someone who used to sleep until 2 in the afternoon, it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Um, but
Awesome.
no, it's my driving force. It is I say I'm kind of a sappy person, which you would know if you listen to the love song I wrote. I'm
Mhm.
kind of a sappy person, and music and love inherently are who I am. I think that's kind of what I think, and so a lot of what I am trying to accomplish with my music is telling people, because once again, bringing it back to that focus on relationships,
Mhm.
telling people that they are heard, they are, not to say, because this is a little bit of a popular wording, I'll call it, but just telling people, what you are feeling in this moment, what you are experiencing is valid. You are real. We're all doing this crazy thing together,
Yeah.
and we're all struggling to some extent or another, and that's okay. And when someone pisses you off, here's the song you listen to. That's the song where you are strong. When someone disappoints you, that's the song that you listen to, and you are real in this moment, and you are valid, and you are heard, and you can keep going because you know that you are not alone.
Amazing. Amazing. I wouldn't have put that in a better way. So I'm just gonna say last few words, and then we'll let Hailey take us out of here. We had today an incredible artist, an amazing human being, as we found out. Hailey Ezzell. I cannot be more grateful. You are forever a friend to the podcast. Whenever you have anything to promote, or you have something to say, or you just want to come back and kick it with us, you are more than welcome. It will be an honor and a privilege to have you again. Shout out to Rolling Stone, to Music Cares. We still love you guys, but we want to be heard. And for all the links, everything to find Hailey will be plugged into the description. Again, Hailey, don't forget to send that to
I
me.
got you.
And please look out for the book Ghostwriters. Please look out for the debut album is going to be out this year. um Again, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for doing this. Let's do this again sometimes. And Hailey, take us out of here. How do your fans and some of the new fans, how do they find you? How do they explore you? Take us out of here.
Well, just thank you so much again for having me. I had a really great time. I love doing interviews. They kind of make this thing feel real.
Yes.
Um, and I'd love to come back at some point in the future. In terms of finding me, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Hailey Ezzell Musician. If you even Google my name, Hailey Ezzell, that's how you can pretty much find me. I'm on YouTube. I actually just got over 250 subscribers, which it's small, but I'm very proud of that number.
Congratulations, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I if people are interested in my music, it's everywhere streaming, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, everything. And I have on there all the songs I've written so far, as well as a playlist that I made on Spotify called Inspiration, which is a playlist that is kind of for new listeners of my music to get sort of an idea of what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And it's just other songs and other artists that have inspired me. So if you want like an idea of what it is I'm all about, you can kind of listen to that and maybe get a better idea. And then, as I mentioned, I post covers twice a week. I do full covers on Wednesdays on my YouTube channel, and then I do partial baby covers with my piano Saturdays. That I cross post on pretty much everything. So those are the main ways to find me. And yeah, I'm pretty easily accessible at this point in my career. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, as long as you're not creepy, we'll be cool.
Yeah, definitely tune into the Instagram, because I
Mhm.
enjoyed going through it.
Thank you.
I think it's cool how like you have these, segments and stuff like every Wednesday and everything. So I
Mhm.
enjoyed it, man. My old head enjoyed it. You will enjoy it. Go check it out. Hailey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
High five from Jersey to Florida. And we'll love to have you back, and keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
This is SouLivate.